Hello, I'm Monica Price and you're watching Cuppa TV. It's all about the girls today as I'm joined by a director of Tappy Twins, Suzanne Skeete, an organisation that helps adults and children overcome any challenges they may face in life using energy therapies. Also today, Gilly joins me. She joins us again, this time to show us exactly what goes on in making one of her bespoke and unique fine silver jewellery pieces. Welcome my first guest, a lady that works tirelessly with adults and specialises in working with children to give them help and advice, whatever that may be, using energy therapies. We welcome Suzanne. Suzanne, thank you so much for coming on Cuppa TV.
Thanks for having me.
Wonderful to see you. So before we talk about these lovely dolls that are sitting here beside you, so Suzanne, tell us about Tappy Twins.
Tappy Twins. Tappy Twins was developed a couple of years ago from me working in universities and helping people with personal development, and I realised that I needed to get to the children a lot earlier, so hence why Tappy Town and Tappy Twins was developed. So I developed an online platform which is an actual town with characters to be more sort of realistic and interactive for the children. So the online version basically is to help children when they need it. So if I'm not working in a school, they can get hold of me anytime, for example. But we use the energy therapies to enable them to feel better about themselves if it's just lack of confidence, for example.
Tell us about that. What does the energy therapies mean?
Basically, what we do is, as you can see on these lovely dolls here.
Yes, so introduce the dolls.
Well, this is Tilly.
Yes.
And Tilly is actually my daughter. She will hate me for saying that. Hello, Erin. And Toby is her cousin, Manny. Yes. And basically, the dolls have been produced to enable, if someone's going through quite a lot of trauma, for example, what we would do is we'd get the child to tap on the meridian points. These are called meridian points, which are basically acupunctural points. And the acupunctural points are tapped on, and what we're practically doing is keeping the conscious mind busy while we work with the subconscious mind. Yes. And what we do then is enable them to get rid of all emotional aspects of an issue that's been worrying them. And they're just left with the things there. It's not gone anywhere, but I haven't got any emotional response to it. So they work very, very effectively, and my kids love them when I take them into the schools.
And why Tappy Twins? Where did the name come from?
Well, EFT,
yes.
Obviously, is tapping. So if I call them Tappy Twins, because I wanted them to be a boy and a girl, so that's really where it came from. And as I said, my daughter, it's a very family orientated business, but also my children in the towns are all the children that I've worked with. So if they do really well, I make them into a character. And then they go into my town as well. So that's why we went with Tappy Twins.
And you work all over the UK?
All over the UK, yes. I personally work in the inner city schools in Birmingham and West Midlands. So yeah.
Oh, fantastic. And when you go into the schools, what do you actually do? Suzanne, tell us about how it works.
I do one-to-ones, and I work with the children that are most vulnerable. So children that have got issues at home, or they've got Asperger's or ADHD. It's 97% effective with tapping. So tapping's a major part of what I do with the children when I'm in schools at any time. And we just work through any emotional aspects that they're going through at the time and make them feel much better.
And you've seen amazing results, I
Yes,
assume?
fantastic results,
yes,
yeah. I've got people that are self-harming, which is a massive issue at the moment.
Yeah, we talked about that on another show, actually. Self-harming is quite... Yes, please.
Thank you.
Self-harming is quite a big issue at the moment.
It is. It's a very big concern for me. Only last week I was actually wiping someone's arm, unfortunately, where they'd cut themselves several times and not cleaned it up properly. It is a major issue in schools with children nowadays. The pressure of various different things are making them feel that they don't have control, and a lot of people that self-harm, it's just their method of just getting control back. But it is a huge issue, but I've got a lot of children that are no longer doing it anymore, which is fantastic.
And that's from using
EFT, absolutely.
Your therapies.
Yeah.
And for people who don't know much about it, could you just give us a brief sort of explanation of what it actually is?
Of course, yeah. EFT was founded by Gary Craig, and it's literally tapping on meridian points, which are acupunctural points. There's no needles involved,
yes.
Thankfully. I have got quite a few people who will be frightened of the needles.
Yes.
And what we're doing is literally tapping on these points very gently for a few seconds whilst we express how we're feeling. So, for example, if someone was feeling angry, they would literally tap on the points on themselves or on the doll, depending on how severe they felt at the time. And that would help relieve the emotional things they were having. So I can get a whole room of kids who are just complete meltdowns. And within minutes, I can have them all calmed and nice and chilled and happy.
And is it the doll? Because explain the reason why the dolls came into play. Obviously, you've spoken about them, and I get it. But for people again who are watching who think, why can't they just tap on themselves? Why the dolls?
Well, sometimes I will tap on them if I feel that they need additional support. They will tap on themselves, but as I said, if it's something that's very traumatic, to enable us to get the best results possible, then we use the dolls as a surrogate. So literally, they're not tapping on themselves. So if they're called Peter, for example, so how is Peter feeling? Well, Peter's very angry. And why is he angry? Because somebody's upset him, etc. So they're not dealing with it from a first person's perspective, which means the pressure's a lot less and the results are much better.
So the different points on the dolls relate to different emotions, is that right?
The different points on the body just relate to different parts of the internal organ systems as well. We do obviously mix it up a little bit when we're in therapies ourselves, but when I'm teaching the children, I teach them all how to use positive EFT, which basically what that does is however they're feeling, I get them to say exactly the opposite. So if they're feeling angry, I go, so what's the opposite of angry? And they'll go, right, calm, for example. So when they're tapping on themselves, I'll go, feeling very calm, feeling very calm, feeling very calm. And literally that works equally as effective as if we're working through the negative issues. The dolls were produced just to ensure that we did have that in place if we did have someone who was going through quite a lot of trauma, so we could look at it from a different perspective as opposed to their own. But on the whole, I use them in training to teach the children, but on the whole, they're just there for major traumas.
And it's adults and children, isn't it?
It is,
you know, so again, do you find that it's effective, just as effective in adults?
Absolutely, yeah. It's 97% effective across the board. And I use it a lot on pain relief for myself as well. I use it every day, actually, on pain relief. There's nothing that I found that you can't use EFT for. And the great thing is it's drug-free and it's pain-free and it's quick. So it gets results very, very quick.
And the future for Tappy Twins. So how do you see it?
Very exciting.
Yes.
The town is being developed all the time. And what we're wanting to do is get the town so it's 24 hours manned. So basically when children need that support, they've got it. What that would mean is, like with Childline, you contact Childline up and they do an amazing job. I was trained by Childline. But what we do differently is we actually offer solutions at the same time. So rather than them going off the phone and going hurting themselves, for example, we actually make sure that we're doing tapping with them live. So when they go away, they're nice and calmed and they're not going to hurt themselves. For me, I draw on my own personal experiences of childhood, and this is why I've set Tappy Twins up in the first place. So I have great empathy with children that are going through issues, and it's very important for me to just get to as many children as possible because they need it.
And schools and presumably nurseries.
Nurseries,
it
schools.
Doesn't matter what age.
I've even got children who are they'll hate me for saying that. Children who are like 17, 18, 19 who still use Tappy Twins because the online service, it allows them to get access to me straight away. So it doesn't matter really what the age group is.
And why do you think it is so effective?
I think it's effective because, especially using matrix reimprinting, which is another aspect of EFT, which I absolutely love doing that.
Explain that.
Matrix reimprinting is I tap on you,
yes,
and you tap on the younger you, which is called an aspect. So back in history, at any one point, you're called an aspect. And what happens then is we give that younger you the resources that you need to actually overcome any trauma that you're going through at that particular moment. So, for example, if you've been badly bullied and you're really upset, you would go back to the point where you're really upset, and then you would give that younger you the resources to get over it. And as a result, they can move forward and be the people they deserve to be, which is really impressive. And to see the results is absolutely unbelievably amazing.
And do you find now that people are more open because to things like this, to the energies, to energy therapies? Do you think people now are looking at those as alternative ways to, as you say, pain relief?
Absolutely. I mean, if you think about it, I've got several friends who have got children with Asperger's and autism, and it's quite quick to give them drugs and calm them down and everything else. But this is a pain-free way of helping them to control how they're feeling. One of the things that's really important to me in any work that I do in schools is that I look at the child and say, look, it doesn't matter where you've been or what you've been through to date. It matters where you go from here because you are in control of you, nobody else. And that's quite sort of empowering for them to understand that actually, I can control how I feel. I don't have to be angry. I don't have to feel this way. I can feel this way instead, which is much more effective for them. It gets fantastic results. And I think once people do it and see the results, then they understand, wow, that works. And obviously more and more things are on television. I think it was the Harley Street of last week, wasn't it, or the week before, talking about EFT at Harley Street. More and more awareness is to just get it out there. It's a tool that works, you know, and I'd rather use that than have kids taking drugs and, you know, not doing very well.
And the children that you've actually worked on in the past,
Yep.
are you still in contact with those?
I am. Yes, I always insist on keeping in contact with them. Because they all become my children. They're all my babies.
Yes.
Yes, I've got one of the girls that comes to mind straight away. She wasn't actually going to sit her exams. She had mental problems, and her family have got mental illnesses as well, bipolar. And as a result of the work that we've done together, she walked out with 8 A's, 3 C's and a B.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming on
you.
the show, Suzanne.
Thanks
and
very much
sharing.
for having me.
Thank you. That's
you.
great.
Thanks.
We're going to take a quick break now, so come back and join us again in just a second. Welcome back to Cuppa TV. If you've watched the programme recently, you would have seen this lady tell us about her rather unique jewellery made of silver. She now joins me again to show us exactly how that process starts and ends. Please welcome Gilly Page. Gilly, nice to see you again.
Hello, Monica.
Thank you so much for coming back.
That's a pleasure.
So Gilly, today you're going to actually show us the process of how you actually make a piece of your jewellery.
Yes,
So
yes.
just take us through what you actually do.
Right. Well, I start, for example, this bridal range that I've just launched is twisted silver wire with beads and little pearls, and they can be vintage beads, they can be beads that belong to the bride, they can be any little tokens that the bride has that would like to be included in the piece, and we can also put flowers on there that would match the theme of the wedding. And then there are tiny little charms that are all personalised. This one says happily ever after, and then there's the initials of the bride and groom on the back.
I think that's important because perhaps if somebody hasn't caught the show before, your jewellery is very bespoke and
It is,
unique,
yes.
isn't it,
Yes.
Gilly? So
Each piece is made to order, so I don't carry a stock of anything, and the essence of it is the personalisation of the charm. So it is a keepsake rather than a piece of jewellery, and it tells a story, really. So yes, for example, these pieces, you start off with silver wire. Now, this amount of silver wire would make a bangle similar to the one that I'm wearing, if I can just take that off for you. And then that is twisted and curved round, and then taken back to the workshop where I would hammer it and twist it and get it into shape and make sure that it fits the recipient so that it's easy to slip on and off comfortably. And then to make the charms, they're made from fine silver clay, which comes in a packet like this. Is quite amazing stuff. And
Yes, I've never seen this before.
no,
Fine
it
silver
is
clay.
amazing. And
Okay, what do we do with that?
this has the silver suspended in it, so it's 99.9% pure silver. And she says as she's fiddling to try and
No,
get the
that's
packet
all right,
open.
so it's it.
Right, so it's very much like clay that you would use to build a pot or plasticine,
Yes.
for example. When I'm
Yes.
doing pieces, fingerprint jewellery, for
Yes.
example, with children, I tell them it's very special Play-Doh.
Yeah.
And so you can roll this out. So I'd use a roller. You can roll it out, and you can I would either hand etch with a scribe I have here. I would hand etch the shape, say for example a heart or
So it can be
a
any
flower,
shape.
any shape.
Whatever shape they wanted.
Whatever shape you wanted, and then I would hand etch with my scribe the initials, a message, a heart, a kiss, whatever the client would like. Then that's taken and it's left to dry completely. Once it's dried, it can be filed and fired and polished up to leave the pieces, the little charms as they are. So for example, that one has a little heart on the back and a little kiss on the other side. And this little handheld bridal good luck charm,
Yes.
for want of a better word, that has happily ever after on it, and there's happily on that one, ever after on that one, and then on the back there are the initials, and we can have the dates of the wedding. And afterwards, if the bride would like the piece made into a keepsake piece of jewellery, like a pair of earrings, for example, or a charm on a bracelet, then I can detach the charms and it can be made into something that the bride can wear every day rather than just pack it up and pop it into
yes, because that's
a
the
box.
thing. You have all these things for wedding days, and often they're just packed away and that's it.
Right, yes.
So this is rather different. You can actually change it into something else.
Yes, something that you can. Well, the headband that I'm wearing this morning, for example,
that's a very beautiful
this is a wedding tiara as well,
Yes.
so you can take it off,
Yes.
and it has little charms on this one, and this one is "and they lived happily ever after." So on each little charm, and then it's the date and the name of the bride and the groom again, but it could be whatever the couple wanted. They could have anything on there, and I've taken flowers out, but this, for example, you could have dried flowers, and this one was a peacock feather that I used. You can have silk or fresh flowers, whichever the bride chooses, and it can be with and to fit the colour theme and style of the wedding. And then this was a 1920s
Yes,
piece
that looks
I
very
did.
That looks very nice.
So
It's
yeah,
very lovely.
but then you can detach it, and as you say, just wear it as a headband if you would like to.
Do people, when they come to you, Gilly, do they realise it's so unique and bespoke? Because it's already well saying you can do whatever you want, but actually when they see the pieces, are they often just, what's their reaction?
They like the fact that the pieces are made in front of them, really, because we sit and we do drawings. I have a book, and I will sit and I will talk and say, what would you like? What shape would you like? Are you thinking of anything in particular? They may show me pictures. They may have something that they've already got and said, oh, can you incorporate this into it? We'll sit and we'll do some sketches, and particularly with fingerprints, for example, we sit and we roll the clay, and that's the actual piece, so it's not taken away and a mould taken. That's the piece. So I've had somebody video a fingerprint being done of their little boy, and it was sent to their father that was serving in Afghanistan, and that was lovely. So it's all part of the story of it, really. Yes. And they feel that they're very much a part of the whole process. And
is that important to you?
Yes, very much so, because I think that I haven't reinvented the wheel, for want of a better saying. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of people making silver jewellery, but for me the importance is the story and the personal detail that goes into it. And as I say, I don't think of it as jewellery particularly. I think of it as a keepsake that tells the story of that person, because most of the time people will buy pieces, particularly with the fingerprints, and they don't take them off. They wear them all the time, and that's lovely. That's what it's all about for me.
And what about the most unusual request you've had? Because this is a new bridal collection.
It is a new bridal collection.
So presumably it's just sort of taking sort of a role at the moment. It's
yes,
getting more popular.
It is, yes.
So have you had an unusual request?
I've made a silver plectrum for a 60th birthday, and for just a nice keepsake for that. I've made key rings. I've made friendship bracelets for a wedding. I've made oh gosh, what else have I made?
So many different,
lots of
unique
different things. Yes.
And do you like that? Because presumably it challenges you.
It does, yes.
As a craftsperson, craftsman.
Yes.
Can I say
yes,
craftsman, craftsperson?
Yes, it does. I mean, I've made a trio of bangles recently for a 40th birthday celebration, and each charm had to depict the recipient's son, and one of them is a rugby player, so he had a little rugby ball. Another one was a fisherman, so he had a little fish, and their other little son is called Edward, but is known as Teddy, so it was a little teddy. But it wasn't me that designed those charms, it was the children. I sat with them and said, this is for Mummy, it's a special surprise, what would you like the charm to look like, which represents you as her special gift? And they all came up with that, so we sat and we drew it, and they watched me etch it and make the charms in front of them, so they were really excited about that. And then they had their names engraved, so the whole thing was their design, really, and I just put it together for them and realised what they wanted.
Oh, that's amazing. And when you looking after it, does it, because silver can tarnish,
it
can't
can,
it? So
yes.
how do you look after of the silver?
You could buy a silver cloth from any good jewellers, and then you can just polish it up. But that's something I have been thinking about, and I'm looking at providing a silver cloth when when people are purchasing the pieces, so that they have something, from Gilly Page Jewellery, so that they can just polish it up, as and when they want to, rather than, and that would be included.
Yes. And what's your latest piece, Gilly? Are you working on anything at the moment?
I am, yes.
What
I'm
are you
just
doing?
about to start on a bangle, which is going to America. And that's having 4 different size charms on with names of children, and then they're coming back to me because they're deciding what little picture or little emblem that they want etched on the back of the charm. And that's going to have a date on as well. And then that's being packed up and going to America, which is exciting.
And I
yes.
can say, does that make you feel? How does that make you feel, knowing that your jewellery is on the other side of the water?
It's lovely. It's really exciting. I still get a thrill from it every time. I get and I think, oh, someone's chosen me. Particularly when it's so far.
Well, it's a
so
wash,
far away.
Isn't it? The market
yes.
is a wash with jewellery, but it's having the service that you provide, and and the stories that you share behind your jewellery. It seems that that's what customers like. Is that right? Is that right?
It is, yes. And with my my internet shop, for example, on the Etsy platform, it's been very important to me. And when I was embarking on that, I think that some purchases that you make on the internet, you know exactly what you're going to get. But then other things, and particularly with something like this.
Gilly, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for
That's
bringing
my
all
pleasure.
your jewellery in to show us today. It's been lovely to meet you again.
My pleasure, thank you.
That's it for today. I'd like to thank Suzanne and Gilly for joining me. And if you would like to get in touch with us, please do. You can email the show or join us on Facebook or Twitter at Big Centre TV. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.